Propel Holdings is a company that uses AI tools to check out the creditworthiness of borrowers. It has businesses in Canada, US, and Britain. That stock's been under pressure. Let's get more from Suthan Sukumar, Managing Director of Tech at Stifel, who just started the stock at a buy. Suthan, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Tell us, just remind us, what is Propel's business model, please?
Sure. So, Propel at a high level is an online consumer lender that's focused on the non-prime market. The key products that they offer across the U.S., which is their core market, and the U.K. and Canada, is really unsecured personal loans and also line of credit products. And this is all underpinned with a technology platform and a proprietary AI risk model that's helping them kind of achieve the results that they're seeing.
Do they offer it directly to consumers, or do they offer it via intermediaries?
So there's a smaller piece of their business is basically direct to consumer. So they operate a couple of brands in the market today. That's called Money Key and Credit Fresh. Some of that is direct to consumer, so they go direct to market and acquire borrowers and originate loans. But the rest of that business is all through partnerships with banks. So basically, they leverage these bank partnerships to originate loans, which then they provide all the back-end technology services, and then they acquire the loans after a brief holding period and bring them onto their balance sheet where they then effectively own the loan.
I always get confused with Propel because the provision for credit losses rate in the latest quarter was about 52%. So does that mean that half of their loans they've made a provision for credit loss? I mean, these are relatively high-risk loans?
Correct. Yeah. These guys play in the non-prime space, so this is a relatively higher area of risk, and so these guys are pretty conservative in terms of how they approach these loans, and that's reflected in that.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Part of your bull thesis on the stock is their tech platform. You think this gives them a major advantage?
Correct. I think Propel at a high level is not really a typical name or a space for me. I cover the Canadian Technology Square, right, as you mentioned, which is more of an enterprise software and IT services focused coverage. But I do see a compelling tech team here with Propel and this platform play that they're executing now, which is called lending as a service, which I think is going to become a much more of a material part of the story in the quarters and years ahead. And I see potential for that to accelerate with their new bank license. So this is really more of a fintech piece of the story where they're extending their lending platform, and they're helping basically originating loans and being able to hand off those loans to partners, and so effectively grow revenues more profitably, but without any credit risk. So I think this is a pretty compelling piece of their model that I think has tremendous potential here to scale.
That's interesting. Now, you touched on the bank. So they've gone for a banking license in the U.S. via Puerto Rico? Because I think so. We just talked to the CEO last week.
Correct. Yeah. So they now have this this banking license where they're now recognized as an IFE, that's an international financial entity, which allows them, which I think gives them a little bit more of a more privileged market access in the U.S. as they look to expand, and the company's targeting about 50 penetration of 50 U.S. states in the near term here. So that's going to help accelerate that path to that. But it also gives them preferential market access as they look to expand globally as well. So that's some nice optionality that gives. But the other piece of it also is from a product perspective. There's opportunities for them to actually consider other financial services and other financial offerings that they could bring to their borrower base over time. But I think right now the core focus for them is still on the non-prime lending side. I think market expansion is the primary strategy at this point.
We're tight for time, but you referred to lending as a service. What does that mean?
So lending as a service is really just a much more. It's a platform strategy that that Propel is providing, basically partnering with banks. Originating loans and then being able to transfer those loans to a partner, to a partner bank. Basically, they're able to do that by just providing the technology platform. So the origination and the underwriting, which they have a very superior platform for, and then being able to transfer those loans to a partner. So it's completely off balance sheet. So they can do that. The revenue size on a given loan is actually lower than a typical lending deal, but it's more profitable and there's zero credit risk. So it's a much more attractive way to scale.
Suthan, thank you very much indeed. Suthan Sukumar, Managing Director of Technology at Stifel.